And then lots of people in Gaza, they say we're stupid, we're firing missiles at Israeli civilian cities. It's stupid. And you know, most of the people in Gaza are Muslims. In the Quran it says, do not fight a war, do not start a war in the 1st, 7th or 12th month. They're the holy months. When did Hamas start firing missiles in Israel? During the month of Ramadan. Especially against what it says in the Quran. So Hamas aren't just up against the Israeli Defence Force, they're up against Allah as well, because they've gone against his Quran that he sent down for them. Also in the Quran it says, do not exceed the limits of war. And Muhammad said, do not kill women, children or old men. Now where do Hamas fire their missiles? Always at civilian cities. They never fire at the military bases. There's lots of military bases around Gaza. Hamas never fire at them. They only fire at the civilian cities. Again, they're going against their own Quran.
Against the guy who's got a big gun.
It says in the Quran, if you go against the teachings of the Quran, you will have a life of misery. So not surprisingly, exactly as Allah said, the people of Gaza are having a life of misery because they're going against their own Quran.
What they need is a bit of information.
Yes, right, they do. What they need is the correct interpretation of the Quran.
No, stuff the Quran.
No, don't stuff the Quran.
Give them the Times crossword.
Well, I don't. That's in English. They speak Arabic.
Well, they'll learn.
It's difficult enough even in English.
I'm sure they know English.
Now, in the Quran also says that the children of Israel will return to the Holy Land.
I'm going back right now.
So, enjoy your drink. So, I'll read it out to you because a lot of Muslims say that it doesn't exist. I'm going to read to you chapter 17, verse 104. This is in the Quran, the holy book of the Muslims. And we said to the children of Israel after him, join in the land. Then, when the final and last promise comes near, we shall bring you all together as a mixed crowd, in brackets, gathered out of various nations. And that's exactly what happened, exactly as the Quran predicted. So why are the Muslims under Hamas trying to kick the Jews out? They're going against their own Quran. So yet again, the Muslims, well, at least the Muslim leaders in Gaza are going against their own Quran. When the Jews started migrating fully legally to Palestine, as it was called then, their religious leaders could have said, our holy book says the children of Israel will return. They could have welcomed them, but they didn't. They started rioting and telling the British, who control Palestine, stop letting the Jews in, even though the Quran says the children of Israel will return. But the British kept letting them in and letting them in, and then when Hitler came to power and started persecuting the Jews, even more Jews tried to get out of Europe to get into Palestine. And what did the Palestinians do? They rioted even more and said, British, stop letting the Jews in, or we'll fight against you. So in the end, the British had to put a limit on the number of Jews coming into Palestine. Incidentally, there were Arabs from other countries going into Palestine. The Palestinians didn't want limits on the number of Arabs coming in, just on the number of Jews coming in. So, they went against Allah's word. So then yes? They went from Egypt. So a lot of Palestinians have the name Al-Masri, which means the Egyptian. Lots of them went from Egypt to Palestine because during the Mandate time, when Britain had a mandate to bring independence to Palestine, there was loads of work there. They were building roads, railways, airports, schools, everything. And the Jews were going in there with lots of money to fund all this. And so Arabs were coming from all around the place to get work there.
How about the abolition of Palestine?
Yes. Jews who were said, do you want to hear the answer? He asked a question, but he want to hear the answer. The answer is, when the Jews are spread all around the world, as the Bible and the Torah predicted, a lot ended up in Europe. And the European authorities said, you must have Western names.
So you think the people who were born in Stamford here, they should go and live in Israel?
Only if they want to, but they don't have to. They don't have to, they're not allowed to.
Palestinian people who were born in England, they're not allowed to go there.
Not until there's peace deal. When there's a peace deal between the Israelis and the Palestinians, Israel said that some of those Palestinians will be able to return.
You have right and they don't have right.
Because Israel decides what goes on in Israel and the Palestinians decide what goes in the Arab part. And the Arab part says all Jews must get out of Palestine. I'll say that again because you're listening. In 1948, every Jew was kicked out of the Arab part of Palestine. Not most of them, every one of them. And yet in Israel, the Israeli government said, Arabs, stay here. But some Arabs fled to the neighbouring countries because they wanted the Arab armies to destroy Israel. But they failed. And then 90,000 of those Arabs, Palestinian Arabs, returned to Israel.
So who's won the last war?
What, the one that's going on at the moment? Like all those wars against Gaza, nobody wins. But Israel defends itself. Israel defends itself.
Are they both stupid?
No, Hamas is stupid. Hamas is stupid.
Why not Israel stupid as well?
Because all they're doing is defending their civilians. That is not stupid.
What about the children being killed?
And I blame Hamas for all of those deaths. Hamas started that war. Do you know, every time Hamas fires missiles at Israel, Israel fires back and civilians die. And yet Hamas still do it. They know exactly what's going to happen because it's happened 3 times. Hamas have had a big war against Israel. Israel's fired back, as they're legally allowed to do. So Hamas know exactly what will happen when they attack Israel.
So you agree children should be killed?
No. I said Hamas know exactly that will happen. Some people think that Israel should not fire back because civilians might die. That's what Hamas wants. Hamas wants to fire missiles in Israel, but Israel mustn't fire back. Hamas and their supporters, that's what they say. Luckily, international law says you can fire back where the missiles come from.
Do you know what you're doing?
Israel's defending itself.
I think you are naive. What you're doing, killing children.
Accidentally, not on purpose.
How is it
And Hamas killing other children. They want the problem to be on and on and on.
Who does?
Both sides.
No, Israel will stop as soon as there's a ceasefire.
Listen. You don't. Both sides they don't want results for this problem.
Rubbish.
Like
Your side doesn't, but the Israeli side does.
Wow.
And every time when Hamas eventually agreed to a ceasefire, Israel stops firing.
Listen. I think it's a religious problem. It's nothing to do with democracy or freedom. You believe this land belongs to Jewish, and Muslims believe this.
You're 100% wrong. You're 100% wrong. Israel does not occupy Gaza. Israel does not occupy Gaza. It could if it wanted to, but it doesn't. If you were right, Israel would occupy Gaza, but it hasn't, so you're wrong. The facts are against you.
The United Nations wasn't a Tamba or church or mosque. United Nations is the United Nations elected by elected country.
Yes.
Who decided 1948 whatever Israel has to have a country. Not because they are they are chosen people from God. They didn't say that in Constitution of United Nations. But you saying that because they have to go back to their homeland. So I don't blame Muslims when they said, oh, we have to go back to the homeland as well.
No, I think
Until when we get rid of these extremists, Jewish and Muslims, and we sit down and talk.
they are the problem.
Israel has always said
on both
all
sides.
those
Yes.
Arabs,
Yes. Agree.
all those Arabs who left will be able to go back, but their descendants won't be able
We can do
to.
nothing.
Why not?
Because everyone knows the Arabs want to destroy Israel, and it would be suicide for Israel.
Let's remember.
Suicide for Israel. So tough. Now, I'm sorry for the Arabs, the Palestinians in Lebanon and Syria getting a really bad deal from those countries.
Who is creating your
tough.
fuss?
That's tough.
It's Israel every time. The anger,
never.
the fury. Yes.
The Palestinians attack Israel,
settlers.
and Israel defend
You bring in
itself.
settlers. Where do they come from? They come in from all sorts of the world. This is
Hang on. I agree with you on that point. I stick up for Israel's right to defend itself and to exist.
What about the-
But Israel should not be building settlements on Palestinian land. I agree with you there.
But what if they're nice when they do it? I mean, if they go to settle and they're really nice to people.
Well, they do actually. They build factories and they employ the local people.
I know.
Tens of thousands of Palestinians work on those factories that the Israelis have built on the
lemonade.
And let's remember,
Yes. And there are more people employed in that, and they get better wages because the Palestinian government is crap at creating jobs.
in that case, if that's true, why does Israel build an enormous wall to prevent Palestinians moving from one place to another? That is in fact attacking the right to work.
No.
Yes, it is.
No, that wall had got 18 gates to it. 18 gates.
And how many
still
are
to this day, Palestinians go from the West Bank through those checkpoints and work in Israel. It just means the suicide bombers can't get through in the countryside.
And yet, do they? Do they stop?
Yes.
All the time. What
Yes.
happens is,
Yes, if you go back 12 years, a suicide bomb was going off in Israel every 2 weeks. Now it's about one a year. So I see that wall has worked very well.
so what happens long term? You are smaller, you've got a birth rate which is much higher among Arabs than among Jews. You're going to end up with a situation where you've got more Arabs than Jews
Yeah,
in Israel.
that's life.
Yeah, well,
That's
that's
life.
life. Because if you believe, as many Jews do, that they're the chosen people,
No,
they have
they
a kind
never
of
say they're
shura.
the chosen people.
Well, you look at the Bible. The whole
Not
point
the
about the
chosen
Bible.
people. Originally, God gave the first religion to the people who became known as Jews. Then He gave it to the Christians, and then to the Muslims,
God
to the
did
Arab
this.
Muslims.
How the fuck
So
do you know
now,
what God
anyone
did?
who's got a
You don't.
religion can be said to be chosen.
Sorry.
So Israel in the past, when they were the first people He chosen, now anyone can have a religion, and that's good.
Yeah, but that chosen phrase is one, that phrase about chosen. Why then is it, I read my Church of England stuff, every psalm you come across says, Lord God of Israel, as though He was a tribal God who belonged to one
He
person.
was at that time. Then, when Jesus came along, that got spread out to all the other nations of the world. And then Islam, from the Quran, spread it to a lot more people. So, at the time those early books were written, the Psalms, only the Jews had a covenant with God. Now, millions, billions of people do.
Why then does the phrase remain?
The what? Why does
Why
what?
does the phrase remain?
Because it was written in the Old Testament, in the Jewish Old Testament. No point Tibeting it out. At the time, they were the only chosen people.
The whole point was that they were returning to the land from which they came originally. Now, how would you react if the Arabs came to Britain saying that this was the land that we occupied? We were here 3,000 years ago. We're coming back. What Israel?
Okay, I'll answer.
Okay.
If the Arabs could prove that they were here 3,000 years ago, yeah, they could come back. But they weren't, were they?
And how can you prove it? How can you? Well, the fact is, we don't know. Yes, the Jews were a wandering tribe like most of the Arabs were.
So, okay, there's also a reason. If you don't have to accept the Bible, that's
don't.
up to you, you don't have to. But in Israel, there are ancient synagogues, and the language is Hebrew, so it's not surprising that the people in Europe who spoke Hebrew and had synagogues originally came from there. And historians at the time described exactly what happened, and the Romans kicked them out.
That's
Roman
the idea
historians.
of bringing in Hebrew. After all, Britain spoke Middle English in the 13th century. The fact that people spoke Hebrew is neither here nor there. It was
To you,
another
it might not
language.
be. If you ask any archaeologist or paleontologist, anybody who's involved
I'm not
in that,
denying it was
yes,
never been
if the
spoken.
people here have got a language which came from the Middle East, you don't need to be a genius to work out
But what-
those people have got links with the Middle East.
Most of the Jews actually had turned into, they turned into, they spoke Yiddish, they talked all sorts of other languages. Hebrew came back. It was a dead language which then came back.
No, it was never a dead language. It was spoken in the synagogues, but not outside the synagogue. All prayer books have always been in Hebrew.
Okay, on that basis, would you believe that we should speak Latin on the grounds that that was the language in which the Roman
If
Catholic
people
Church?
want to, then have to. No,
They don't
no,
have,
they don't have
they have a
to.
choice.
And you choose not to. Most people choose not to speak Latin. But most Israelis do choose to speak Hebrew.
Or there is pressure. Do they learn it at school? Yes. Are they forced to learn
And they're
it? Yes.
proud of it.
Can you join?
Same as you're forced to learn English.
No,
Are you
because
forced to learn English? No, you learn it at school. You say Israelis are forced to, but you don't say you're forced to learn English. You say you
I happen
learn
to speak
English.
it. I happen to speak English naturally. I do not have to learn it.
Israelis have Hebrew as their
You're like,
language.
hello, mother, I'm here. You had to learn it. The same way that when you're born in Israel, you learn Hebrew. You're not forced.
Well, you are forced.
No,
because-
you're not forced to learn English.
Okay.
No, you've got a lot of people from all over the world. They go to one country. You've got to have one language for communication. They chose Hebrew.
They
Simple.
chose
For obvious reasons. For obvious reasons.
Yeah, I mean-
do you know the Dead Sea Scrolls? The Dead Sea Scrolls found in what's now Jordan.
Yeah, I know
in
what you mean.
Hebrew. Some in Aramaic, some in Hebrew. Always been Hebrew in that region of the
Sorry,
world.
what you're saying is the Dead Sea Scrolls that appeared before 800 or 900 AD, they were written in Hebrew. Fair enough, I accept the point.
Over 2,000 years ago.
Yeah, all right. Even more, a stronger point. That means it was an ancient language. Fair
Yes.
enough. So is Middle English. It does not mean
And the
you have
people
to
in
put them up.
England and Poland and Germany, etc., who speak that Hebrew, obviously their roots came from there.
No, well, the fact,
A lot of them even look Arabic.
no, listen.
My mum's Jewish, but my dad is English. I look more like my dad. I look like Anglo-Saxon. I've got a brother who looks more like my mum. He looks more like a Jew. People are spread and mixed, but they originally came from there. DNA tests prove it as well.
What does it mean looking like a Jew? What are
I'm just
the
giving indications to a
main-
skeptic. I give indications to a skeptic
You have Jews
about
and
why
Jews,
the
man.
Jews came from there in the first place.
Sorry?
And why did the anti-Semites in Britain used to say, go back to Palestine?
Because they were anti-Semites.
Because they said go to Palestine. They didn't say go back to Poland, or Russia, to go back to Palestine.
Would you therefore take
Anyway, because of that sort of attitude, the Jews want a safe haven. They want a safe haven.
And they took
Good.
it
And they've got one, and they're not going to give it up. They're not going to give it up.
If you want safe haven, go to Germany or somewhere in Europe.
And what happened to
What right
the
do you
Jews
have
in
to take some
Germany?
part of the Middle East?
What happened to
And
the
before
Jews
they
in
offered
Germany?
you Palestine,
Who
they offered
pretended
you
to say what
Uganda.
happened to the Jews
What
in
right do they have to
Germany?
offer you Uganda?
We've got
What
a right.
And you call yourself a Jew? My brother, how are you doing? It is genealogically impossible for you to even be a Jew. You don't even be from Palestine. It is genealogically impossible. How can you have a white, blue-eyed Jew calling himself from the Middle East? It's like me saying I'm Chinese.
Nobel Prizes in science.
And I'm Chinese.
And I'm not surprised.
Understand,
do you?
I'm Chinese just like you are from the Middle East. It is genealogically and biologically impossible. But you white people come from everywhere. You murdered the Australian Aborigines and now you're the original Australians. You murdered the Native Americans and now you're the Native Americans. You're a bunch of thieves.
Got a point there.
Britain as well.
You have the audacity to say
well.
black people
But
steal.
young people.
Yes, black people pick wallets. White people pick countries.
Why did you go speak and say? I always find those who support the Palestinians cannot debate. They shout and walk away. I'll say it again. They shout and walk away.
That's the point there.
They can't debate because the facts are not on their side. Thanks for proving it, maybe you've gone.
Because they're angry, but not because of truth.
They're angry because they don't have much education and they get angry they can't debate properly.
African nation now.
Maybe you got a
You
point
heard
there.
from one person.
Israel is worse than Hitler. Israel is worse than Hitler.
Israel's worse than Hitler?
Yes.
Oh my God!
Israel is worse than Hitler. Israel is worse than Hitler.
Explain that.
Because Hitler was Jew, man.
Do you know what?
Oh yeah, Hitler was
Not 60 million people died. The mentioned 20 million. What about now 40 million?
Forbade
Israel is
Jews
worse than
to go to
Hitler.
university.
Why?
Israel built universities for the Arabs.
Why they was killed? In Germany or in Palestine?
What?
Ah, fucking hell, man.
The Arabs
was on Hitler.
attack Israel.
Yes.
Is that your intellect?
Yes.
Brilliant.
Israel
But
was
the
on
Jews
Hitler.
never attacked Germany.
Listen, Israel is Nazi, man.
Jews never attacked Germany.
Very intellectual.
Yes.
Well done.
Yes, Israel is was on Hitler. You are Hitler, man. You are children of Hitler. Yes.
I am Hitler.
Yes. You are children of Hitler.
He says that now.
Yes, yes,
How come
sure.
when Hitler took power, Germany went down and down and down.
Hey, who killed women and children? Hitler. Hitler.
Excuse me, she's trying to touch your bum behind you.
I'm enjoying it. Shut up.
Hitler is talking. Hitler is talking.
I'm not
Hitler is
gay
talking.
now. I'm
Hitler
Hitler,
failed.
you are Hitler, man.
Hitler failed.
Hitler failed. Hitler didn't fail.
Just like Hamas.
Hitler didn't fail. Who Hitler didn't fail? He controlling all UN.
Who's trying to kill the Jews
Hitler
now?
didn't fail.
I'm trying
And
to
now
kill
the Jews
Zionists.
are trying. Sorry.
I'm terrorist. I want to kill Zionists.
Hitler.
Little boys got no attention. You shut up, you idiot.
Yeah, worse than Hitler,
Look,
man.
atheists defend Christianity is Zionism.
Zionism.
What united them against Islam? Atheism.
Worse than Hitler, man. Zionism. Yeah, worse than Hitler.
Is that okay? You're filming me without my permission.
No, we're in a public place.
Is it? I didn't know that. You just told me that.
Why is Israel so much more prosperous and successful than the Palestinians?
Yes,
Israel protects its civilians and educates them.
you are children of Hitler. Children, women.
I hope you're not putting it on.
How do I know you're not filming little kids? How do I know you're not filming little kids?
And now you're talking rubbish.
No, assuming he's assuming in case.
I'm looking out for the public.
What?
I'm saying you don't filming little kids.
What are you afraid of, man? What are you afraid of?
I'm afraid of nothing, my friend. I'm afraid no one but...
Mentions Adolf Hitler.
That's it, that's all I'm afraid of.
Let's see what the Hamas charter says. I'm going to read to you from the Hamas charter.
Oh, good for them. I'm proud of them.
Article 7, Part B.
Worse than Hitler.
The day of judgment will not come about until Muslims fight the Jews.
That's converted.
When the Jew will hide behind the stones and trees. The stones and trees will say, oh Muslims, oh Abdullah, there's a Jew behind me, come and kill him.
Well, good for them.
That's charter.
What a good news.
And you're failing every time.
Yeah, I'm proud of them.
Failing every time.
Any objection?
Who killed a woman and children?
Any objection?
And you doing the same thing right now. When did you come here? You killed a woman and children.
That guy's got more knowledge than you ever have.
See this man here? He's called the Mufti of Jerusalem. He was a Palestinian leader. Here he is with Adolf
There's
Hitler.
no such a thing as Jew.
There's Adolf Hitler.
They're converted Jew from Germany, from Russia, from all Europe. And all from USA. They are worse than Hitler, man. How can you talk to Hitler? You are worse than Hitler. And I hate you for that. I'm not here to listen. They're all
There is Adolf Hitler. And there's the Palestinian leader. In the Second World War, Jerusalem asked Adolf Hitler to include the Jews of Palestine
40 million
in the
of
final
Christian
solution.
flags and everything. And 20 million they mentioned
Hitler
Jew.
failed,
What about the other 40
and the
million?
Arabs are failing.
What about the other 40 million? Why do you good for me?
Killing innocent little children. Terrible.
Ever since Israel was recreated, the Arabs have been trying to destroy it. And they failed.
That's what they say. They
failed.
And what about 40 million?
Since 1948, when Israel was recreated by the United Nations,
You are Hitler.
Israel has become stronger and more prosperous. But the Arabs have not.
Negotiation with Hitler. They are worse than Hitler.
And you ask the Arabs and the Muslims, why is the Muslim world the most godforsaken place on the planet at the moment? They won't answer.
Where are you from? Why you want me to know?
During the golden age of Islam,
Hold on. You don't have to.
What right did the United
I'm from the
Nations
earth,
have
man.
to create a
Yeah, worse than Hitler. Kill women, children, Hitler.
Democratic
And now you say, do you mind?
Yeah.
Kill women, children.
Where was the democracy?
Listen, women and children.
Where's he from?
What about homosexuals?
Where's he from?
What democratic
Where are you from?
Hungarian, are you? Are you Hungarian? Are you Hungarian? Are you the job?
Why are you ashamed to say where you're from?
Are you job?
Why are you ashamed to say where you're from?
Good answer. If you ask your man, she would tell you.
Don't be racist.
That's funny, isn't it? I've never heard that pathetic.
Don't be racist.
You're right.
Why is this
No, I'm not racist. No, I wanted to be racist.
If he was from a nice country, he'd say I'm from Belgium or Brazil or something.
How can I like it there? Yeah, I'm talking Holocaust.
Hitler failed!
Listen, you are children.
Hitler failed!
I am a child of Hitler.
Read your history book! Hitler failed!
You are Hitler.
What, you a
No,
child
he
of
didn't fail. What do you mean he failed?
you a child of
Hitler
Hitler?
What can you say? He failed. He controlling UN. Fucking hell.
didn't fail!
You are children of Hitler.
Dead!
Filming me, please.
Seriously.
Seriously, I don't. You're an old man. I respect you. Stop filming me.
They're
Stop
Jews.
filming
They're
me.
children of
You're an
Hitler.
old man. I
How can
respect
you
you. Listen to what I'm
Making
saying.
you children of Hitler.
You're an old man. I
They're
respect you.
children of
Please
Hitler. You are children of Hitler.
Younger or older, any older.
Sorry? Children of
Don't worry about whether I'm young
converted
or
Jews.
You're right. You're right.
Converted from Russia, from Germany. They are converted from Russia for Germany.
laugh all you want. Yeah?
Converted Jews. They are children. How can you make negotiation with Hitler? Who killing a woman and children in fucking Palestine? Who done in the Second World War? Hitler. They do it same thing. They do it same thing now.
I think
How can you talk to Nazis?
videos I have.
They are Nazis, man.
None of them are, I'm not saying a word about whatever they are.
How can you talk to Nazis, man? Well, listen, Nazi, child of Nazi.
We did not take
You
it
are
back.
Nazi, man.
You've got to use this government that lies to you. It wasn't until Sadat went to Israel and made peace, then you got your land back.
Listen, worse
You
than
didn't get
Hitler.
it back
How
in
can you negotiate with
1973.
Hitler, man?
Why is
Shouldn't be
Egypt
there.
such a shit
Why would you
backward
support
country?
Hitler, man?
Because it's full of
Worse than Hitler.
uneducated people like you.
Yeah, worse than Hitler, man.
You haven't learned a bloody thing, have you? You're still in the most backward third world countries there are.
What are you doing here? Germany, from Russia, from all Europe. And why the Jews in the Second World War, they were getting German, not in Palestine. And now they find yeah, worse than Hitler. Listen, you are children of Hitler. Children of Hitler. You are hateful people. You're killing women and children. You're killing a woman and children. There is no such a thing. Zionism.
I'm a Jew.
They can't make
Zionism.
peace in their own
Zionism.
lands.
You are
They're
Zionist.
killing each other in their own countries.
Yeah, worse than Hitler.
In Libya, in Egypt, in
Worse than Hitler.
in Lebanon.
Hitler. How can you take to the Hitler? You are Hitler, man. You are a child of Nazis. You are Nazis. Zionism. There is no such a thing as Jew. They are converted Jews. From Germany, from Russia. I know.
Hitler was a Jew.
Yeah, Hitler was Jew.
A Jew, yeah.
Hitler was Jew, man.
You worship people.
You are Hitler is here. Hitler is here.
Palestinians
We're talking
go
about
and
Hitler.
demonstrate outside the Syrian
There's a Nazi
embassy
here.
because Syria has
Nazi, man. Hey, Nazi. Hey, Nazi, Nazi, Nazi. You are Nazi. You are worse than Hitler.
say that
There was
again.
nothing in there. You are worse than Hitler. Worse than Hitler.
Syria.
Worse than Hitler. Worse than Hitler. Worse than Hitler. You are worse than Hitler. You are converted Jews. You are not real Jews. Why can't you go to Europe? Why you go there? Why you can find space in Europe? Why you go to Palestine?
And
You
Israel
are converted Jews.
in self-defense.
Yeah, no self-defense. That's against you, self-defense. Excuse.
Doesn't matter if they want democracy.
No democracy. They don't want to. They want to control the world. They're like Hitler.
He's killing them.
There's no such a thing as democracy.
160,000.
Killing women and children, man. We are worse than Hitler.
paedophile.
Nazi.
Be careful.
Nazis.
Europeans having to get out of Libya because the Arabs are killing each other so much. Europeans are getting caught in the crossfire.
Jews are Nazis. They converted from Germany. Just mention this one Nazi. They are worse than Hitler. Just hate them all.
He's not a Nazi, he's a bigger. You want him? Go to Impact Station. You find him bigging with a flute. I know him.
What do they do?
And I give you this. Go to Impact Station. Subway. You'll find him bigging with a flute.
I wonder why they got this shit military.
Hey, Mr. Bigger, where's your flute? Where's your flute? I want to sing that.
One day, common sense will come to the Muslim world.
Hitler. You're talking to Hitler, man. Don't talk to him. They are children of Hitler. They are children of Hitler.
Two states.
They are children of Hitler. There's no two states.
Before 1967 there were two states, and there can be
You're in
again.
Europe. You don't belong there. You are converted German and Jews.
All the Palestinians are
converted.
is go to
Russian,
Israel and
German,
say,
all
we
Europe
want to make
belong
peace.
to Europe,
Let's agree
not
on the
to
borders.
Palestine.
It's all they've got to do.
Listen, go
Other
back.
countries have managed it.
Listen, how can you talk to Hitler?
Countries they've had peace
Hitler
deals.
worse than
So
Hitler.
can the
Nazi.
Palestinians.
You are Nazi, man. You woman Nazis here, man. Nazis here. Nazi. You are Nazi, man. Nazi. That's what the flag means. Nazi. Hitler is here. Hitler is here.
Negotiate.
If you want to make sure that he's integrated, go to Impact Station. You'll find him bigging with a flute.
Hitler is here. Hitler is here. Hitler is here.
To Germany.
Hitler is here.
Hitler brought
Hitler is here.
destruction to
When you want
Germany.
protection from Europe, why
Why
are
do
you
you
defending
like Hitler so
Palestine?
much?
You are converted
Why do you
German
like
and
Hitler?
Russia.
When Hitler brought destruction to Germany.
They want you. Yes. Yes.
No.
Actually, Hitler was Jew, man. Hitler was like you. Hitler was like you. Hitler was like you. Hitler was you.
When he was Palestine, the birth rate's going up and up and up. It's all
Hitler was Jew, man. All the generals, those Jews. How can you
Hitler
say?
didn't allow Jews to go to university. But Israel built universities for the Arabs.
They're not all of them Jews. They're 40 million Christians and black, all of them. Those, no, all of them Jews.
Listen to the ladies. Gangster, man.
I agree with you. Settlers is wrong.
Jews. All them generals.
Yeah, and that's wrong. That's it. That's wrong. Well, yeah. Israel always says when there's a peace deal, most of those settlements will be in Palestine, some will be incorporated by Israel, and the Palestinians will be given some land in replacement of that. So it can be solved that way. Yeah,